You once seemed of growing old with Jay, making his lunch, cooking together in a warm kitchen while your child screamed for attention in the background. Maybe 3 kids. Life eventually, after he stepped back from the throne he ruled in blood and iron. But when your daughter Kumi was born, something inside him broke. Or maybe it was already broken, and now you were just seeing the cracks for the first time. 1 month ago, the night she was born, YN, push! Just one more? You screamed as your body did the most painful thing it had ever done. And then a silence, a breath, a cry. The nurse wrapped the baby in a soft pink blanket and placed her on your chest. You cried instantly, clutching her close. It's a girl. The doctor smiled. Your heart swelled. She's beautiful, my little girl. Jay arrived 30 minutes later, fresh from a meeting with one of the most brutal gangs in Shanghai. His suit had blood on the cuffs, his eyes were sharp with tension, but they immediately scanned the room, locking on you. She's here, you whispered. He walked closer slowly. Is it a boy? He asked. No, you said, smiling with tears. A girl, our daughter. Jay's expression didn't change. He stopped beside the bed, towering over you, unmoving. He didn't even glance at the baby. I told you I needed a son. Your smile vanished. She's healthy, Jay. She's ours. I have no time to raise a flower, YN, he said coldly. What? I needed someone to inherit my name, my empire. Not this. You stared at him in disbelief. She's not this. She's your child. She's not what I asked for, he said, turning to leave. Jay, but the door had already shut behind him. He never even looked at her. 2 weeks later, the argument. He came home smelling of cologne and power and indifference. You haven't held her once, you snapped, standing in front of the doorway as he tried to walk past you. He didn't meet your eyes. I've been busy. She smiles in her sleep now, you whispered. She looks for you when the door opens. You don't even say her name. Jay dropped his coat on the chair. I didn't ask for a daughter, YN. She's not a product, Jay. She was supposed to be an heir, a son. I needed a legacy, someone who could protect this empire when I'm gone. She's not your soldier. She's a baby. He didn't flinch. I can fix this. Your stomach turned. Fix? What do you mean, fix? He hesitated, and that pause was enough. You're planning something, aren't you? Jay's voice lowered. Stay out of it. No. You stepped in front of him, your voice trembling with fury. Tell me what you're doing. I found a surrogate, he said finally. She's already signed. It's happening. You stumbled back as if slapped. You? What? She'll carry my son. You don't have to be involved. I didn't want to put you through it again. So you're just replacing us? Like we're nothing? Jay said nothing. You stared at him through blurry vision. You're a coward. Then you walked away, and this time he didn't follow. A week later. The Hotel, Part 1. The hotel suite was a penthouse, cold marble floors, golden fixtures, a large king-sized bed. Jay sat on the edge of the velvet sofa, watching the contract laid out before him. The woman across from him was poised, early 30s, perfectly chosen by his legal team, healthy, discreet, emotionally detached. She placed a pen in his hand. Jay hesitated, then signed, and just like that, his daughter became a ghost in his heart, a mistake in his mind, something he could overwrite. 1 week later, the hotel, Part 2. Night fell heavy over Seoul. Jay arrived at the same hotel. This time, the atmosphere was different. There was no contract, no clipboard, just dim lights. Just her, the woman, standing by the window, wearing a silk nightdress, holding a glass of wine. You're sure about this? She asked quietly. Jay nodded. It's part of the deal. She stepped toward him. Then let's get it over with. She placed the wine down, reached for his blazer, began unbuttoning his shirt. But something wasn't right. As she peeled the fabric off his shoulders, Jay saw flashes. You, laughing under cherry blossoms on your honeymoon. You, in your wedding dress, crying as he kissed your forehead. You, holding Kumi in your arms, singing her to sleep. Kumi in her bassinet, blinking up with his eyes. Kumi, reaching toward the door every time it creaked open, hoping it was him. Jay? The woman asked, noticing his stillness. She moved to unbuckle his belt. And then he stood up, fast, pulling his shirt back on with trembling fingers. Where are you going? She asked, startled. Jay didn't answer. He just left, without a single word. That same night, the garden. You had moved Kumi's crib into the garden earlier that week. Something about the flowers seemed to soothe her. Or maybe it soothed you. Tonight, you sat on a blanket in the grass, rocking her gently. She giggled softly as she played with the petals you scattered. The garden was bathed in moonlight when you heard footsteps behind you. You didn't turn. You signed it, you said quietly. Jay froze. I knew it, you whispered, voice trembling. I felt it. He stayed still, silent. I heard you left the hotel, you added, but that doesn't erase the fact that you went. Jay took one slow step forward. I did. Why? I thought I needed a son. Don't you still? He looked down at his hands. I thought a son would make me immortal, carry my name, protect what I built. And Kumi? You asked, turning now, finally looking at him. What is she? Jay's voice cracked. She's what I never knew I needed. He knelt beside you. For a long moment, he just stared at her, at your daughter, at his daughter. Kumi blinked up at him, then smiled, reached out her hand. Jay swallowed. She looks like you, he whispered. She has your eyes, you said. His fingers trembled as he touched hers. I almost gave this up, he breathed. I almost threw away the two people who would have followed me through hell, not because of my empire, but because they loved me. You stayed quiet. Jay turned to you now, his voice raw. YN, I'm sorry. I was blind. Obsessed. I thought legacy meant blood and power. But it's this. Right here. You. Her. This little garden where my daughter laughs like she owns the world. You stared at him, your tears finally falling. She waited for you every night, you said brokenly. Every time the door opened, she thought it was you. Jay's face crumbled. She smiled at your name, reached for your cologne on my clothes. She doesn't even know what it means to hate you. I don't deserve her, he whispered. Then start becoming someone who does. Jay nodded. Let me try, please. He scooped Kumi into his arms. She squealed in delight. For the first time, Jay laughed, really laughed, and you realized he'd finally seen her. Not as an heir, but as his daughter. 1 year later, Jay's empire was stronger than ever, but his most important title? Appa. He no longer walked into meetings without a baby sock stuck to his jacket. He canceled arms deals if Kumi was teething. And he read bedtime stories with more emotion than any mafia threat he'd ever delivered. Sometimes at night, you found him asleep on the nursery floor, Kumi in his arms, and when he woke, he'd always whisper the same thing. I almost lost this. I'll never make that mistake again. The end.